Hello! Welcome to an exciting episode of MiniGrinder Paints Live. I'm your host, the MiniGrinder. Hope everybody's doing well in these times of, well, they're times, that's for sure. Of course, and my mother calls immediately.
Nice.
Immediately. So hopefully that didn't screw up my camera. Okay, camera's still good. Woohoo! So we did a little stream last night with my paint monkey, Justin.
What?
See, this is a little bit of so say hi, Justin.
Hello.
I'm surprised you didn't pull out the hi, Justin.
No. Lame.
So we did a little bit of a test stream last night. We only had a couple minor issues for some reason. It just likes to drop. My internet likes to drop randomly at random times. So if we catch it in time, I can keep the stream alive. If not, we're going to go ahead and just try to reconnect. You'll have us here for probably the next hour, an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, depending. We might get tired of doing this. So. Maybe we'll get done what we're supposed to do. Who knows? I don't know.
Oh my god.
So I figured it might be kind of fun to take this fella right here, right, and go ahead and work on his shadow side.
Work on the back side.
Right. Yeah. Because
nice.
I mean, while it does provide like a nice effect for the lighting. I mean, if you're gonna do OSL, you're gonna have. I mean, you need shadows. Light cast shadows. That's just all there is to it. And what kind of light depends on how the shadows are cast. So well, this is kind of self-explanatory. There's light on this side, not too much on this side. So we can do all kinds of stuff here. As you know, Justin, I like to highlight the shadows basically, and when we do that, that's our ambient lighting then. So
it's basically just the same thing you do with layering and highlighting, just with a different paint scheme. And
yeah, I mean, there's all these details here that we're not going to get to see very well if we keep it like this. I'd also like to put some kind of symbol on the shield, but
I guess I have two questions. Right as you're starting here, it's like obviously that shield is extreme need for design. It's flat, it's beautiful, it's an open canvas. So if you're going to put heraldry or a grip, whatever it might be, some sort of design, how do you determine how that design kind of cuts through in a shadowed environment? And then also, I think another question to raise as you're doing this would be, how do you determine which shadows are the most highlighted as opposed to the most dark? Because
there is no actual light source, but you kind of have to. Shadows is just another kind of object source lighting, but it's and when you're highlighting, when you're making it's ambient lighting, so it still should be considered some kind of lighting. Now you can do all kinds of fun things with your highlights. You can make so where like the base layer is midnight blue. I use midnight blue for the base. I often do this for I use Reaper's midnight blue for a lot of shadow spaces because it's a good, like, I don't know, it's not black and it's not a bright color, so it's nice. It's a nice dull color for shadows.
Also, what's the Twilight one? I use the Twilight one a lot too.
That's the next one up, right? Yeah. So I'm actually going to be using the denim blue. I've been I've been liking on that instead of the Twilight blue.
Sure.
So I'm going to be using that for the next sort of layer up.
Awesome.
So I work with a dry palette. It's unconventional. In this day and age, everybody's working on the wet palettes. It's just how I roll. I've always worked dry palette, and then I use sponge.
Yeah, we were talking about this last night. You you control your water on your brush tip, not on your palette. You know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't. Yeah. Precisely.
Yeah,
Precisely. So hopefully I can get
same
this thing
idea.
to where it
Just,
focuses proper. Hey, that looks like a proper
hey,
focus. Hey. All right. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply this straight. I'm not going to dilute or add too much. I'm going to keep the brush dry and just dilute it or load it up nice and thick. And then I'm going to
mm-hmm.
gesturally place, where I think the light splotches are going to be. Now we have some fabric and we have some metal here, and they're both going to
Yeah,
react differently to the light. Um, but the fabric's easy enough. It's just sort of a flat.
yeah. And kind of going back to my question I asked you earlier about how do you determine where the most prominent highlight in the shadow is, and I guess I have to remember that,
There's
like,
a couple.
in a
There's a couple reasons. So there's a couple variables in that. So like I said, one is the material that the shadow is being cast on,
right.
or the light,
Well,
whatever. And the other one is, what kind of light is casting it, or so is this a shadow?
sure.
And then there's, and just a number of other things too, the angle and everything else. But like
Well,
when it comes to material, oftentimes for fabrics, I just go straight on for like a nice broad spectrum. Like it's much more diffuse. You can think about it that way. Now, fabric can be silky, so then you're kind of painting it like metal also. So I think it's important for people to try to like attempt to learn how light reflects off of metal, or attempt non-metal metal, if only to really start to
understand
understand
the
that
property.
it's
Yeah,
not so much about non-metal metal or OSL. It's all about how
light.
light interacts, with materials,
Right,
and that's
right.
OSL in a nutshell. So like at some point in time, I just kind of realized that by studying light, I can study all of it basically, right? And
Well,
so
those have been the two maxims you've always kind of impressed upon me, was water control on the brush or on the palette, or just water control period in terms of painting, but then also light. Those are always the two biggest things you've always stressed to me, is to maintain good success.
right.
Um, but the thing I was thinking about was that unless you're like in a Vanta black room, or our eyes will always try to adjust to find some level of depth or contrast in any type of environment.
Hmm.
Um, and so, all you're doing really is layering and highlighting to create depth. So, just because you're in this mini, or you're thinking about a dark environment, doesn't mean there's still depth there. There's still contrast there, and
Yeah, that's the
our
that's the
eyes
main
will.
thing is you need some contrast because they're miniatures. And
Right.
that's like the most important thing. Because I mean it's got to be everything has got to be somewhat almost as like a caricature of what it would be in reality.
Yeah.
Just so
Yeah.
you get to see it easier. Now some people they go a different route depending, or some even I do also. You know, they might
Do
paint try
like
to
the hyper realism.
right, yeah. But you can get away with it with the larger, like busts and that kind of stuff because they're just bigger. You have more room to
Right.
play. Here you don't have as much room to play, so you got to work with what you got. Just basically.
Right. So I see you're kind of rounding out this cloak here. Does he have like a satchel too that's underneath his elbow?
Yeah, it's like a satchel. Now the sets that I'm thinking this leather is kind of like it's hard, right? And it has
Right.
so it should reflect that. No, no pun
It's
intended.
boiled leather, right?
Right? Yeah, I don't. Well, shoot, that's a good question. So
Whatever.
on
Yeah, it's hard.
on the metal side, now the a lot of people would be tempted just to start from the bottom of these shoulder pads
Cauldron.
and
Yeah.
then work their way up. But
Right.
so the light source, you got to think about it, it's coming, see where my tip of my brush is? It's coming this way. So I'm going to just
Right.
do it straight up direct sourcing
Right.
vector for this, right? And so
Right.
it wouldn't necessarily hit, the edges of the bottom. It is going to be, but it's not going to be,
Right.
it's not like we work our highlight from this way and then over. It's
Right.
actually somewhere in here. You think about it that way.
So you're talking about the negative light source or the dark light source,
Right, yeah.
or
Yeah. Well, okay, so every time that I talk about light source in here, I'm talking about the shadows. Like we're painting shadows,
right,
right? But we're painting the
the
shadows,
negative light. Yeah.
right, as an OSL effect, basically.
Yeah.
Right? So
Right.
we're building up our highlight, well, our pre-highlight. This is pre-highlight. This is like the top layers, right? We're building
Right.
these layers up with that in mind. So, but rather
Right.
than having, this thing shaded from here and then this way, the light source is directly behind, and so it should probably hit somewhere in this area right here,
Right.
more so. And
You're
the same thing for the other side. I would think that it would be like right here.
so
And
you
this one we
know
can get away with a little bit more. And then it should create like a line also. Should all
right.
agree kind of,
I remember when you were showing this stuff to me several months ago. I remember, we were working on that halfling, and then I worked on that gnome by myself. If you remember that.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of said two things to me that I felt like were massive milestones to me wrapping my mind around this concept, right? Because I think a lot, and myself, I think a lot of people get stuck at the idea of, well, it's darkness. Why is there? How can darkness be a light source? And really, the bottom line is that stuff. I had to basically take a flashlight, turn the figure around to where the darkness was, and then just say, this is how to highlight this figure in a different palette color altogether.
Mm-hmm.
We're just basically doing it in a blue purple type of darkness vibe, but this is how we're doing it,
Right. Right, yeah. And
And
then at the end of the day, it's all about, like I said, contrast. Because this is going to be much more interesting to look at than just
then
what it was
flat
before,
blue.
right?
Yeah.
So when you come
Yeah.
around, you're going to see the miniature for what it is, especially when we get into
Right.
the highlights. Now it's going to be
Right.
these highlights are going to be fun, so that we have options right here. We can do all kinds of fun stuff for the actual shadow side, because if we treat it like a light source, if we treat the shadows like like their own kind of light source, right? Because they come from a certain
Hmm.
direction. It's a vector. It's opposite
Right.
of the vector of light.
Right.
So, it's it we can treat it just the same. And then by doing so, you can. I mean, it's just at that point in time a parameter that you can switch. So we could highlight. We could go from this color you pick a highlight color. We can go to this to green, this to pink, this to
Right.
yellow, this to white. It can just keep on getting brighter
Whatever.
and brighter.
Yeah.
Dog blue colors like this.
Right.
That's
Right.
total. I mean, you can keep on as long as you just kind of increase, the spectrum along the way. So,
Right.
um, so right here on the shield, I'm thinking like it's like right here is where that light source starts, right?
Yep.
And then, so I'm just wiping the brush off on my hand, and now what I'm doing is just moving the paint around because there was a big splotch of paint on there. So I'm just wiping off the excess and I'm moving the paint around. And this is kind of blending, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So
It's a good start.
it's important to note that you did heavy right there in the middle. You wiped off a little bit, and now you're just kind of pushing around
I'm
the
just
edges a little bit.
right, yeah, I'm just kind of moving around and also kind of texturizing a little bit too.
Yeah. Right.
We want that part right here to be nice.
That's
And,
the bright part.
right, yeah, because this is not bright at all, right? This is still
Yeah.
very much dark.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's the anti-bright, whatever you want to call it. I mean,
It's
this
the
is the highlight. The
anti-bright.
highlight. The anti-bright. Yeah.
This is the
Again,
anti-bright.
I feel like the key when it came to me to understanding this concept was just taking a flashlight and saying, "This is how you highlight it," and you're just highlighting it with darker colors. That's all it is.
Right, yeah, but the highlights are sort of the colors that you're using, no matter what your surface color is, whatever it's coming from.
Mhm.
Good enough. Good enough. Whatever your surface color is coming from is going to get augmented by the color of the light source. That's why I always
Absolutely.
say, like when I paint miniatures in sunlight, I always use the golden blonde, right? Because it's a nice sunlight color. And
Right.
I mix that with my top layers to figure out what my highlight color is. And then
So
if you have the color already made, I mean, up in your paints,
yeah,
then you can go search it out there and use that instead. But
yeah.
so I'll do that. I do that often instead of doing the paint mixing because I do paint mix a lot, but I've been trying to paint mixing is kind of a pain in the butt sometimes.
It totally is. I mean, there's so much pressure on when I'm paint mixing to try and get everything done with that color possible in that one sitting. Because God forbid I come back the next day and I'm like, how the hell did I paint mix that?
Yeah, nice.
But
Just look at something. Yay. Okay. So that's gonna drive me crazy. Sorry. So what I did right now is just went and got some of that lovely midnight blue, and now I'm gonna just clean up what I did.
yeah, so you're gonna
Right.
kind of punch in a little bit of
Now
shadow color there again.
I'm kind of just cleaning off the brush on the sponge, and now I'm just gonna move that stuff.
Now you're doing wet blending, right?
Kinda, yeah. I'm just kind of blending it in a little bit better.
Yeah.
See where it can use a little bit more.
I have to admit, I would have been tempted to put a small highlight on that rivet down there at the bottom because I'm thinking that thing is
Oh
standing
yeah.
out, right?
But
It's
the first
creating
thing,
depth.
I don't worry about the rivets yet until
Oh, okay.
I, get that portion done, and then I'll move. Then I'll move up. That's actually the next step,
Sure.
and that's just a nice thick dab
There you go.
for each of them. That bottom one's
Yeah.
wet, so I'm going to be careful. Actually, I'm going to let that bottom dry just a sec.
Sure.
So, no, paint it now! Paint it now!
I mean, already,
You can see
this
it already
back.
has a ton more definition. Yeah.
I mean, the back already is incredible. I mean, this is the very least it's table ready. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I mean, I would have played it. I would have played it before I even started doing the back. Table ready. Most people don't even play with painted miniatures. I mean, I think back to whenever I was doing it, we just were happy to have miniatures in general.
Yeah,
Now I have so many that like I just need to start painting them.
I hear you.
You know. So, and that's what I'm doing. I'm doing that a lot. So you want to see real quick? We'll take a break from this. Let that rivet dry.
Sure.
Just make sure, and then I'll show you what I've been working on here with this one.
Oh gosh, that's cool.
So
I wish
here's and it. So this is going to be the sort of hello.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. This is going to be the sort of model for what the rest of it's going to be like. So that purpley light is going to come down here, and then the white light from above. Well, actually, it'll basically so go from like that white color, actually
Mhm.
this bright orange, this bright yellow
Mhm.
right here. So that'll go from the edge, then it'll go up to the white, and then to the snow shadow, and then up into those purple and violet colors and pink colors. So that should look kind of interesting. And then
Yeah, that'd be
also some of that will happen on the back too, which would be nice.
feel it sexy as hell.
Yeah, thank you. So I don't know how work on that at some point in time, but I found it much easier to work on it not streaming because white is white is difficult, uh,
Mhm.
and I've never really attempted white properly and with lighting in this way. So it's you got to be delicate with it.
Remember,
So,
a couple of years ago, when I was living in Maryland, I was trying to paint up some Space Marines, some Warhammer minis, and I wanted to do them in black and white deco. And I remember trying to paint the pauldrons this white, and it was just lumpy, and it was grainy, and it wasn't smooth at all. And that was my first kind of like impression that white is a son of a bitch color to have to paint.
so speaking of uh what light source we want to use on this back
Mm-hmm.
side, or how we're going to highlight this, if we're going to highlight it with blues or greens or
Yeah,
whatever's. uh Actually, I was kind of thinking about highlighting it the same as I did on the front side, and this
like
is
gold blonde or red or what?
just the fiery highlight. Just
Yeah,
the thing is, what it should translate is into is that there's fires further away, right?
yes, yeah,
So a lot of the clothes are going to stay kind of in the orangish range, I would say,
right.
or reddish range, somewhere in there. And then
Mm-hmm.
the metal parts should get the full reflection. We should be able to get the full range of the fire in them, and that'll help us then consider the metal pieces as metal also, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
I'm going to use this Cavalier orange because I like it. I'm a big fan of orange.
I'm curious to see how you're doing this because I actually have a mini right now that I kind of want to do the same thing with, and I haven't been really sure how to tackle it, how to do this far flame effect, if you want to call it that.
I don't really. I mean, it's the same as I did on the front side. I mean, I kind of showed you. I thought. Did I show you the torchlight OSL?
Yeah, you did, but I guess maybe I'm overthinking it because I'm trying to I feel like I want to capture the fact that the light source is actually farther away than it is more direct.
Hmm.
So like, what does that do to the light? Does it make it dimmer? Does it make it darker?
Oh, right.
Does
Yeah. So, well, you don't get. It makes it softer because as the lights,
softer?
yeah, right. As the light, gets further away, obviously it gets softer, and then at the
Right.
same time, it also things get just darker in general. So there's not going to be
Hmm.
too much in the way of highlights on this stuff. It should be, enough. Maybe it'll only go up to the orange. It won't get the full, the
Right.
full. But now I'm just using the orange as the highlight. If I can see how that goes.
Hmm.
It's hard to see in this. When all else fails, saturate. Right?
Yep.
Here's saturate. Okay. Yeah, but I probably, and I might actually go in there and hit it with like a red wash of some sort.
Yeah.
wash
Right. Do a little bit of like
or
a tint
glaze.
to it, like tinting effect almost.
Mm. So I want to be careful here because if you recall, I said the piece is kind of hard, so I'm just going to add some.
How much water's on your brush right now? You say
I'm sorry.
how much water is on your brush?
Oh,
Very little.
not much. Not much. Just enough to keep. I mean, I basically just rinsed off the brush and then pulled off the excess.
Yeah.
Um,
In some ways, that is the downside to working with a wet palette. That you know, it's really difficult to pull off this type of work.
you mean
The
like how using the water? That's why.
yeah, yeah.
I guess it's. I mean, I haven't actually ever used a web. Number of reasons to watch a show. I don't do anything like anybody else. I think.
Nothing wrong with that. I like
Guess I
I
don't know.
like now it's coming across with like obviously green because you got that blue and the orange going on
Right?
top of each
Yeah, and
other.
that's okay.
Yeah,
I'm totally all right with that because
it's actually
it
really
probably
cool.
would. It's kind of how it would be anyways. You know.
Yeah. Again, it's one of those things where when you start up there at the neck, I'm like, I don't know how this is going to look. But like as you kind of keep pushing forward, as you need to do miniature painting, it gets better as you keep going.
That's right.
You
You get yourself a game
gotta
plan
commit.
and then commit to it and then go forward. Right. I'm just trying to get the fabric first because the fabric's, like I said, going to be softer.
Yeah, that's looking really good.
Starting to. At the same time, we're going to switch brushes. I'm just cleaning this guy by rolling him. And that sponge there. Grab this one. This is a 3-0. Load her up. Roll it out.
Now, when you're doing the stronger orange highlights, it's much more concentrated. You got a little bit more water on there, right? And
Little
you're trying to
less water, because you
a
want
little less water.
saturation.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, right now I'm saturating. I'm trying to get the brightest point to be that color,
Big.
right?
Big.
I want
Yeah.
that color.
Yeah.
So I don't want the green.
Hmm.
I want the green on there on the edges.
Right.
So the first layer that I put down was kind of like, because a lot of MSP paints, the way you put them down, it takes multiple layers. They're kind of a layer paint. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
So because of that, uh, you know, you don't have to mix in between them. I could have mixed these two together and then did that
Right.
color, and that's a
Right.
great way to saturate that layer. But it was unnecessary.
Right.
I'm just gonna fix that little bit right there. It was bothering me.
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah.
looking really kind of natural looking now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's looking really good.
Oh, thank you. You're my emotional support monkey.
What?
Come on, mini grinder. I guess that makes you the monkey, right?
Yeah. I guess. Means I get all the money.
Right, yeah. Yeah, you get all the money. Dance monkey.
Dance monkey.
Mm, the belt there. See, a lot of the stuff you don't even actually have to paint. You just sort of like, oh, there's a space there that needs some paint. Okay, well, let's make it look not stupid. It's usually just a dot of some sort or stroke.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, like that's not. Yeah, like that. Like you just put a little bit in there, get a
And
little
then I
bit
don't
of
have to
depth.
paint like a lot of people. They struggle with those details because they're really trying to paint the whole thing. And I say screw that.
Yeah. You know, yesterday and today, we're talking about highlighting and shadows, and I've realized that I kind of went the opposite direction. That there was corners like around the sides of the waist or in the elbows or in the neck regions that I was just kind of like, I'm gonna let that be shadowed, and I didn't actually do anything with that. So I think I need to kind of come back to adding a little bit more in there as opposed to just leaving it shadowed.
Right? Yeah. Well, if you treat the shadows the same way as you treat, you know, um,
Light.
yeah, that the other side, then I mean,
Mhm.
it's funny. At first I painted these things this way, where you had light source on one side and shadow on the other side. I
Mhm.
painted it that way so I could do less work. But at some point in time, I realized that that's it's just not gonna cut it. Now I'm stuck doing
Yeah.
maximum work,
Yeah.
right? So again,
Full effort.
let's uh let's let's take a look at these light sources on these shoulder pads. They're metal,
Yep.
so we're gonna dab it.
Yep.
We're gonna dab it right there. That's what it's gonna be. This one's gonna be the
Heavy concentration, right?
yeah, and then we're gonna fade around that. I'm just sort of like
Yes.
I'm trying to figure out where the lights and right here it's gonna be right here.
Right.
Okay. So basically
Then you,
all where I'm dabbing right now, all of the yellow highlights into the white of the light is going to be in that range,
yep.
right?
Those are your brightest spots for sure.
Right, yeah, they're the brightest spots, basically. Right, and then no, with it, might be too wet. Just with the damp brush. Just
What'd you do to your brush right there?
I just grabbed it. I just cleaned it off, and then I'm
Mhm.
taking off the excess water, and that's enough
Okay.
moisture on the brush to get this thing really to flow the way I want it to. So I'm trying to, and sometimes this
Blend.
works this way. I'm trying to get that orange to mix in with the blue to get that pseudo green color on the
Yeah.
fringes.
Yeah,
Right?
you're just kind of blending it.
Yeah. So now there's water on the palette over there, so that I'm grabbing with.
Might be a good place for flow improver.
Maybe, yeah. Uh, her nap is over. I don't know if you can hear my dog's collar in the
Oh, geez.
background. Oh goodness. Oh goodness. Now there's a kitty cat too. They've been going back and forth. The cats are almost tolerate her. No, we're not at
Oh, wow.
complete. We're not at the point of acceptance,
Right.
right?
Denial, grief, acceptance,
Right. Yeah.
all those things.
A little bit too much there. That's okay. This one we're just going to go ahead and spread it out. Another thing that you can do here is instead of doing like I did a spot. It
Hmm.
might actually be more interesting is if instead, I did like
Outside in.
no, if I actually painted a fire,
Oh, yeah, because you're kind of reflecting the
Right.
fire. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that's always an option too. Like I said, it all depends on what the light source is and what you're doing there. So
Well, you kind of, this person's like in a hellfire type of situation, right?
yeah, maybe he's not doing well probably.
Yeah.
Well, he's doing well enough to have a shield on his back.
Yeah.
So there's that. So this is going to be for a character in the natural one as a demo character in natural one.
I was actually thinking about bringing up some of the sheets again after I kind of watched you paint them for a little bit. Didn't know if you wanted to talk about a little more painting, or if you want to transition to that real quick.
Oh, we can talk about this guy.
That one.
I hope a lot of people play the night classes, not just to be annoying to their compatriots by being a goody two shoes, but oh my goodness, Nelly. Oh my goodness, Luna. These two. So, but not just be a pain in the butt, but there's a lot of cool stuff in there. Like the rally skill is really sweet in the system
Right.
because you only roll initiative once at the beginning of combat, and then that basically just says who's going first, who's going to get the first strike. You know.
Right. Right. Do you have a character sheet in mind for this guy, or do you want me to read off a couple?
The human knight.
Knight. That's what I thought. Okay. Wasn't imagining that he was going to be a dwarf brawler, but you never know.
Yeah, right.
All right, so
Who knows?
Mr. Demo _ Human Knight _ Stoic. Fair, brave, forthright, oblivious. Oh, I think I roleplayed it as this character sheet.
What was his name again?
I forget. But
you demoed this character, and remember, at this point in time, I didn't have this miniature painted. I was like, this is the miniature for it, but I haven't painted it yet.
I just remember the fact that he was really he was skeptical of the goblin he had in his party.
Right. Yeah.
And he was. Yeah.
For obvious reasons.
I actually really enjoyed role playing that guy. I had a lot of fun. Anyway,
you said when you were playing that you were surprised because it got your heart pumping or something like that. The combat.
Oh yeah, for sure. We'll talk about the combat. You know what? We'll talk about that in a second here because I just want to run down his fighter, champion, tactician is his trade.
So there's 6 triads for each character that they get, and so he's got champion. Right.
I'm getting down there. He's got melee, defense, combatic, presence, tactics, civic.
Right. Yeah. So it's like this guy's basically a straight up knight.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, you get that with at least the civics also giving them that role playing edge, and tactics, presence. Those are all great role playing characteristics for the knight class. So when I remember I was role playing him, and obviously your gaming system is different than more traditional tabletop games in terms of how you ready your weapons and how you attack. And I remember it's always it's always something to wrap your mind around, this concept that you're not going to be attacking every turn.
Right, yeah, but every turn is not equal to a round. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And then, as a side note, I remember us talking about how, as a DMing this system, it becomes that much more important to tell the story and to show the story in those rounds, just so that way the players do not feel like that they're just sitting around doing nothing, waiting to be attacked or to attack. You want to talk about how they're readying their weapons, how they're scanning the battlefield, how they're doing things, participating in a passive way. But I felt like a lot of
hold on there for a second.
Yep.
I have to go let the puppy out. So I'm
All
gonna
right, sounds good.
take a quick break. I'm gonna put some of these miniatures. Here's the guy that I'm working on, and some more recent ones that I finished for you guys to gander at. I'll
We're
be
gonna
right back. I
gander
apologize
the
for the
F album.
inconvenience, but nature's calling.
All right.
And hopefully the stream doesn't die when I'm gone.
Thank God you're wearing pants.
Yeah.
Also, I think you're
Hello,
hot mic
I'm
in
still
there.
here. So
You're hot
the
mic
problem
in.
is I just can't hear you. See, this would make it handy if I would be able to hear you in my mind. Go on, girl. She's she came outside and laid down on the back porch. No, you gotta go potty. Get in. No, get in. Come on. She's such a brat. Come on, Nelly. Hey, come here. I gotta bribe you. She just got bribed. Okay. All right.
All right, Mr. Hot Mic.
Sorry.
No, you're all good. So yeah, so what I was saying was that something about your system, being a longtime D&D veteran, obviously, you get in any type of battle situation, you get your blood pumping, usually anyway. But I don't, in some of the more balanced D&D encounters you get, or any type of tabletop encounter, there might be a bit more of a forgiving atmosphere in terms of, okay, you didn't miss this time, but don't worry, your turn's coming back around with 3 or 4 more turns, you'll get another shot, and you just kind of, I don't know, there's always this okayness with the fact that there's always the next turn,
Right.
Hey, I've got health, I've got some defense, I'm going to be okay. In your system, for those, I guess, that don't understand it, or are not familiar with it, the stamina requirement, or not requirement, but a mechanism. You start off with a certain amount of stamina. It's basically your lifeline to special moves, or to overloading attacks, or to doing things to be clutch in the game, to kill something, or to protect yourself or protect someone else. That becomes something to keep your eye on. And
when it starts running down, you start getting worried.
Oh yeah, I mean it becomes gambling at that point. Like
things about gambling, because
it is, yeah.
At any point in time, you can spend stamina to roll more dice to increase your chances to make a roll.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So when you're using your stamina to do that, you're robbing yourself of. It takes 2 stamina to overload a dice, and that's 2 hours of rest.
Right.
Sorry, that's 2 hours of not doing anything and being awake, or 1 hour of sleeping.
Right. And so, I remember in that battle, you basically told us we're play testing this, and I'm going to try and kill you. I'm going to try as hard as I can. And I made it so that way it should be a party wipe. And of course, we're halfway through it. We're doing halfway decent at it,
Yeah.
And
the beginning characters are very beefy in my game.
Yeah, for sure. So we're halfway through it, and I'm just like, there's going to be a point here in a couple more turns where we're going to hit a wall, and we're going to have no stamina, and suddenly we've become weak characters we're just like sitting ducks. But I think that was the part that just really got me going. Was like, every time I spent right, yeah, it is basically time limit. Every time
it's based on the effort,
Yeah. Every time that I spent stamina or I saw one of my compatriots doing it, it was like, oh man, I really hope this what they want pulls through, because we're
Right.
burning on limited resource.
That's right.
So yeah, so this particular guy, he's got a couple feet.
Yeah. So he actually can give other people AP with a rally check.
Yep.
Spend
And
stamina.
I did that. I did that a lot.
Right, because it's so powerful.
Yeah,
It's like key.
that's Marshall, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then reflexes, he gets to do 4 reactions per turn, that's pretty freaking powerful.
But the other thing is that he's got shared defenses, so he can actually block 4 people.
Yeah, so suddenly he's just zooming around the battlefield.
Well, I don't know,
Just
zooming,
basically. Well, yeah, you get one. He's basically just he's just everywhere blocking stuff, reacting like a mofo.
Right, right.
So what is a grip bonus? Like, what does that really do?
So
What
grip
does it?
is important for him because so grip is how much you can hold in your hands.
He's got
So
a
your
hand grip of
maximum grip
3.
is equal to your size plus 1. So in one hand you can wield a size 3 weapon because he's a human. He's size 3. In one hand he can
Okay.
wield a size 3 weapon. In 2 hands he
Okay.
can wield a size 4 weapon,
Right.
and that's a
His
max.
max grip is
So
his max grip
if
is 5.
if his long sword is a size 3, that means he could only use a size 1 buckler, right? Because that would be 4 total.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
So he's got a max grip of 5.
So
So
he can
he has
use a size
5,
2 shield and a size 3 sword.
which is what I think that's what, because he's got a hand grip of 3.
Right. Or a size
So
5 sword.
right, you just go
In 2 hands.
do dual. just
Right.
just do a 2-handed weapon. I'm not seeing. I'm assuming that the statistics on the grip is something that you would have in your campaign. I'm not seeing it in the sheet itself.
Oh, yeah, it's in the it's just
The guide.
under the wounds and stuff. It's right in that area.
Okay.
It'll say grip or max grip. Or both. One of the two. So we're at orange phase right now.
Come back.
We're gonna move
Oh yeah.
it up. And actually before we move it up though, I'm gonna try to break up this. I don't want it to be a dot anymore. Both of them. So I'm gonna use this.
We got putting a shadow back in around it.
If I want it to look like fire, I like that idea. There
I feel like it's commanding me to bring the One Ring to it.
we go. Well, I appreciate everybody who's joined us thus far. If you're still watching right now and you would like to support me in some fashion, I sell 3D files of terrain over at MG Studio. I guess it's
.com.
It's an / my shop. No, it's my shop. It's a Shopify store. MG Studio. I'll put a link in the description at some point in time, but or you can click on it on my channel. Also, give us a like, subscribe, and all that other stupid stuff I'm supposed to say because I'm on YouTube.
You got point down like you know exactly where the button is. Point to the button.
All right, back to work, everybody. Get back to work. So this is going well. So the question is what kind of fire do we want to give it? Let's give it this bright yellow, this calistria. canary. It's like a nice canary yellow.
Sure. Yeah.
Canary. Canary. And again, I'm just gonna go straight in for saturation right off the bat. I know where I can
Right.
stay in. I gotta stay within the confines of the orange. And I can go a little bit
Yep.
above it in some of these.
So, especially on the field, right, and you're trying to mimic fire, what is your guiding? How do you know where to put those yellow lines? I mean,
Hell if I
what,
know.
well, you know
It's
what? That's a
something.
fair
It's
answer.
something in. It's something internal. It's in your. It's in your. It's in your gut. I mean, it doesn't. If it doesn't make sense, then you put it in the wrong spot. If that makes
Sure.
sense, you know what I mean. Um,
Yeah.
but you'll know when it's not right. It won't feel right. You know, like for me, anyways. But I don't really know. I'm just kind of doing it. You know.
I I get that. I was just
Um.
curious to know if you had an idea on that.
Uh. I mean, I kind of. Well, for me, it was fire. I want to make like a. I wanted to make it look a little bit fiery. You know. That's the
Yeah.
main thing. And actually, it's a little too. Might actually come in. I know what I'll do. So this is just going to be the first round, probably. The main thing is just to kind of make it look. I'm just trying to make it look a little fiery,
Right.
and it doesn't have that. It doesn't all have to be in the same spot. So I can actually highlight the orange even. I'm not going to use the full blown yellow. I'll probably get a little mix here of the Cavalier orange and that yellow, Calistria yellow. You know, and I'll use this to highlight.
Look at that. Yeah, that's nice.
Hey, you like that, huh?
Yeah.
Just a little dab will do ya. You don't have to go crazy here. Now you might want some extra right here because, and we're gonna go with a nice edge
Yeah.
because then you get that nice contrast.
Well, it just works really well transitioning to the rest of
Right,
that
yeah.
piece too.
Just because it's a different. Oh my goodness, Nelly. Whoa, Nelly. That's a command I gotta start training her whenever she's pulling too hard on the leash.
Whoa,
Whoa!
no.
Yeah, there we go.
Looking good.
It's looking like a something. It's looking like it's looking like a man. Again, I'm gonna go up here and reload that brush.
You're back on the orange now.
Nope.
Oh.
Because it's kind of leathery, you know. But it
Yeah.
should have some fun with the highlight. It's like I said, it's all about the. I'm just grabbing a nip of water, get the flow going here.
Yeah. High concentration of low water. Yeah, it's looking really good now.
Starting to. So the shield right here, probably somewhere. I want to go bottom. I want to go there. I'd go somewhere right in the middle.
I also really love to watch you do something in the vein of non-metal metal because that's been kicking my ass, and I've actually kind of have put that in the back burner because
Well,
I'm
you
still
gotta
kind of lost on that, you know.
um, take what I taught you from. Try to approach it from the idea of light. You know.
Right. So you kind of start off with a gray or whatever, a darker
Well,
gray, which
yeah.
is
I
your
mean, I, I'll be doing a lot of non-metal metal on these shows because I have to practice myself. I'm not the best at it, But I'm learning,
Sure.
learning from my own perspective, kind of. Um,
Hmm.
and so I'll be doing quite a bit of it, and I'm starting to formulate, as if with a lot of the stuff that I do, I start to form like nice algorithms or ways of thinking with mantras to live by when trying to do certain
Right.
techniques. Yeah, but so yeah, I mean we'll get there. You'll get there.
Oh, yeah, maybe when I'm like 90.
Well, I don't know about that. Shouldn't take that long. It's starting to look like something there.
It looks really good.
Comes around. Still looks, yeah, still looks fake. It's because the whole layer deal is not done.
You got a lot going on right now in this. You got you got the dark purple, the highlighted purple. Then you're moving into the fire effect. I mean,
That's starting to look kind of cool.
yeah, absolutely.
A little bit, little cool. A little cool. Forgot something over here
Now,
though. So this is that is a thing.
I hate to
We're
be
gonna.
I hate to be a butthead, but could you, when you get a moment, uh, flip the mini upright as if he's standing up, and as a, I feel like the gauntlet on his sword would be catching a little bit of fire too.
Oh, up here.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure would be. You're absolutely right.
I hate to be a butthead about that.
You were a butthead. Thanks,
I
Paint
mean,
Monkey.
I'll do it. Yeah, right. I'm just the one who's just sitting here watching you. I'm not even doing it. I'm like, yeah.
Good point. Real good point. So we're just gonna darken up that midnight blue. Nice one, Paint Monkey.
Shut up, monkey.
I don't need to take this abuse.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm glad we ran into each other, man, because I needed
yeah,
somebody like this. I needed the um,
a monkey.
emotional support monkey.
Wow. Yeah, no. So it was. I forgot how who I talked to, but I remember I reached out to someone.
His name's
I definitely
Andrew. We're gonna
put.
hopefully we'll have him on the show at some point in time. He lives not too far from me, and
This,
you were asking
is,
for somebody in the area, and he lives in the area also, and he was like, "Hey, MiniGrinder," he knows.
I remember, and was it the owner of the Meeple, or was it another student of yours, or what?
No, it wasn't a student. I mean, he backed my Kickstarter, and he's a fellow Reaper Forum guy.
Yeah, I feel like I got. Yeah, I mean, it's. I was actually kind of skeptical. I think I put the looking for help there in like the Reaper Facebook thing. I
Yep.
was skeptical that I'd even find anyone in Ohio, let alone someone who actually was close enough. But hey, I guess it doesn't fucking matter now because of COVID.
Close enough. I'm close enough.
Close enough. Yeah.
What's great about this is I don't have to. I won't have to do any kind of symbol on the shield now. There's fire on it.
I could you like walk through, like, so let's say you were gonna put like a
So there's
cross
something
or
else
a
that I could do
griffin.
that'd be fun on the shield. For instance, I mean, well, I gotta wait until it's all done, and then I gotta putting like nicks and scratches in the shield over this,
Oh,
and that'll
yeah.
look kind of neat. That might look
Well,
neat.
give you depth, you know?
Right? Yeah, kind of. We'll see.
If you were going to put like a cross or a griffin or something like that, it's any type of freehand, you know, how would you kind of pull? And let's say you're going to get rid of the fire effect. You're just going to do a simple nighttime or anti shading, night shading, whatever you want to call it. You know, blues and purples. How would you have accomplished that freehand in that type of environment?
So this guy and here's a shield.
Yeah, there you go.
So I basically picked a spot for the light source, right?
Right.
And there it is. And then circled around there. And now as this went downward, I used that to my advantage because that's a nice contour right there. Wet brush.
What are you painting on that?
Water.
Yeah.
It's a wet brush.
Okay.
But and that was nice then because then that gave something for that light source to contrast to. And it's really important to do that with when you're doing metal is that you have to have both shadow and highlight spaces represented in the metal somewhere.
Well, and it helps if you have that contour. You know, now I can't see on the camera right now if this tight field, or whatever you want to call it, it has any type of contour to it. If it's all flat or what, you know.
What's that?
Does this tight field on his back, does it have a contour or is it all flat?
The shield?
Yeah, on this guy.
No, it's kind of a curve.
Okay.
There's like
Does
a
that? Oh yeah. Okay, I see it. Well, that helps. That definitely helps.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm down with a little bit of help. Probably put a highlight over here too. That might be fun. I don't know. Right now, loading up the brush again. Some yellow. So I came in and oh shit, it's all sticks. And messed up immediately. So this is just a clean, wet brush here.
Yeah.
Just we're gonna go ahead and take that away.
You could do make that tree into a cloud type of thing. Do the Bob Ross method.
Right, yeah.
Happy little cloud.
Then just back to the orange. I just wanted to. Some of it looked a little grainy there.
The yellow kind of overpowered it. It looked like.
No, I mean it totally did, but I mean, I was just trying to get that nice balance in between the two, and so it's nice to
Mm-hmm.
bring um, the yellow back in.
Absolutely.
Because I still want some contrasting stuff going on. Some Bob Ross
Looking good.
noises. He does noises like everybody loves Bob Ross.
So here's another monkey wrench question, if you want to call it that.
We'll do that.
the
Whatever.
monkey throwing a wrench at you. So if there is a fire source behind this guy, then there's also going to be smoke, right? Would that smoke or that dark plume have any effect on the metal above the brightest point of
Depends how
the
reflective
light?
the metal is, I would suppose. Actually,
Yeah.
could go that way. Especially if the smoke had some kind of, coloration to it or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna take some straight yellow. I'm gonna throw the miniature around a little bit more first.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna Just a nip there. Cause that's a fun game. That's a fun game. Good.
Yeah, he's looking good.
It's looking like he's in the fire a little bit.
Oh yeah, he's looking good.
Right. So,
Looker.
let's see here. Oh, I still got some more yellow spots. Well, you got to keep track of them all. Don't lose them.
Yep.
So here's highlight I got to do over here, here. Why not? Looks like fun. And flip, flippity flip. Sometimes it's just nicer to get in the, you want to get in the path of least resistance, especially when you want to
Oh yeah.
freehand something. Trying to get my wrist to work with me here. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, he's looking good.
That's looking close enough, kinda. I'm gonna actually grab some of that midnight blue there and clean that up. Clean. Oh, there we go. Back to the yellow. Back to the yellow. Oh, fizzle monitor the situation. We're reconnected.
I can go.
And there we go. Yay.
You can go.
So are we back? We're back and everything. Hey, excellent. That's what I need you there. Good monkey.
Oh, I feel like I did something besides telling you that you need to redo the gauntlet.
Oh yeah, I'll get up there and do that now.
I really like how you did that satchel though. Like,
Thank you. And actually, I'm gonna screw it up briefly. So I'll take that orange. And we're just gonna just soften
get that
it.
color back in there.
Just soften it a little bit. I can't believe we saved the stream. We saved the stream. How long have we been
Oh, damn
streaming
right we
for?
did.
It's great. Wow, we are 1 minute and 19 seconds in. Oh, it's at 1 minute.
What?
Well, maybe 1 hour 19. I don't know. Nice. It's happening now. Oh, I don't want this one yet. So, what have you learned so far today?
Well, I mean, on a personal note, I've learned that I need to, I think I was kind of allowing those shadow colors to exist. I was like, I'm not going to overthink it. I'm just going to let those shadows be there. But, I need to actually go back in there and play with the shadows a bit more, and yeah. But I think, this is a great reminder in terms of how you do shadow work and how you're supposed to, you can play a lot with it,
Right.
especially when you have I guess what you call a front-facing light source that basically is going to give you a very brilliant front facade of a character, but then leave a shadowy back. It doesn't mean
Right.
you can have a whole session worth of painting to do on the backside of the character.
Right. Just like, yeah. It's nice to be able to get them done now. I will say that. It has felt kind of like unfinished, you know.
I mean, the the front of that figure was so incredible. I never even really noticed the back half of it. You
You
know,
don't even. Who cares about the back?
until you get to
I
the
do.
table, right?
I care.
Um,
And do you want to go right here? Oh goodness. Oh goodness. That's close enough. Yep. Sometimes
where
you
is
need.
where does MiniGrinder currently sit with this? So, like, how do you feel like he's getting close to your level of acceptance, or do you feel like you have a lot more work ahead of you on this guy, or what?
Oh, as far as uh, we still have to do the super highlight.
The super duper duper highlight.
Yep.
You're talking about like
We're
the
still
the, the
missing
hot
one,
hot spots.
and then it's about cleaning up the space around the highlights because that's just the way it goes. So like right here is a little messy. So I can do this now if I wanted to, grabbing just that midnight black. And so,
Punching the shadows back in.
punching back in. And then also, um, to even increase the contrast further on this side,
Hmm.
I'm going to go in and deepen the the shadows even more with
Yeah.
black, pure black.
Oh wow. Okay. So that would be like your ultra shadow depth, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah. So you're gonna do the ultra highlight, then the ultra shadow.
right. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm doing it. Here we go. It looks like I'm going to go to point here to move forward to the next color.
Oh.
I'm gonna pull out the golden blonde.
Oh
Actually,
man, I couldn't guess it.
before I even do that, I'm gonna take this Asmodeus red. I'm gonna throw some extra color in here. More colors. Bring, bring me more colors. Going back over to the size one brush. Where you at,
I
buddy?
think that chromatic dwarf has got you on a big color kick, man.
Well, I've always been in a big color kick. I don't know if you noticed that.
All the colors.
All colors. Yeah, so I'm gonna grab some of that, but I'm gonna loading the brush with a lot of water, so I'm making kind of like a
Glaze.
little. That's more of a yeah, it's kind of like a light glaze wash level. We're just gonna go right over that space. See that? Do you see that?
Kind of giving you that hint.
You don't need a lot, and you notice it's much more interesting than what it was before. Right?
Just know how it dries. Yeah, it's looking really nice.
Right. So that some of that orange that spilled over into that shield space there, that basically contributed it to the tonal value of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I'm going to take the corners of my orange and go ahead and just trying to add some more contrast, more color. Yeah. No, you wanted it yellow up. Was all of this metal stuff down here?
Yellow it up.
Yeah. I'm gonna yellow it up. We use great terminology here. If you're just now catching up with us, this is the Backwater Miniature Painting Studios here.
Yeller.
It is. I do feel that way sometimes. Sad. I'm sad. I'm a sad, sad person.
I'm really like.
It's really looking
I'm
good
really
now,
liking.
buddy.
Yeah, it is.
That's really looking fun.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I'm liking it so far. Uh, I mean, it's funny how much that red really helped, huh?
Oh yeah,
Crazy.
that gives you the bottom part of that fire spectrum. You know.
Right. So it helps just as much as the same way as adding that pure black will, you know?
Yeah, you're giving it that anchor color, if you want to call it that. You know.
Right, yeah. It's really just interesting. One thing that I really learned um, about color theory is that a color is a color, right? But a color
Hmm.
can also be whatever it's next to, you know? And so like
Right.
what colors are next to each other really has an impact on what translates in your brain, when you're
Right.
seeing 3D art like this. And any kind of art really.
Context.
Yeah, context and all of that. Boo, 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 boo.
Oh.
Yeah, rubbish, filth, putrescence. Bow!
Wow!
You
He's
had
getting so
true
surprised.
love, and you gave it away.
You gave it away.
Yeah, I'm really happy that I was able to bust this out on a stream
Yeah,
almost
I mean, this
entirely.
is.
Almost entirely.
I don't. I'm not entirely confident that I could ever really replicate this, but I'm
Sure.
definitely
Oh, geez. Well, that's your first problem right there. Art and
confident.
all that kind of, yeah, confidence. Yeah, absolutely.
There
And
you
there's
go.
something to be said about, yeah, it's easier to have more confidence if, like, if you're going into a test, right? If you're going to go take a test, you're going to be more
Hmm.
confident if you study, right?
Yeah,
It's the same goes.
yeah. I mean, trust me. I told you before. Like you have talent coming out out of your mini grinder ears. But I also know that you put in the hours. So it's. I mean, you've definitely put in the hours to deserve the skill that you have right now.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah. It's going well. This is going well. It's very fiery. He's fiery all around. Oh God, that looks great.
It reminds me of that meme with the dog singing house art. Everything's fine.
Yeah, that's
That's
fun.
cool.
That's fun. That's fun. And I still haven't done the super highlight. So here comes the golden blonde. The golden blonde.
How
My
many
favorite.
bottles of Golden Blonde do you go through in a year?
Not very much, actually. Not much at all.
That's surprising.
Um,
Half your half your palette I can see is Golden Blonde.
right.
At
So remember, fire is hotter,
the top.
not at the top.
Or at the bottom, sorry.
Gonna highlight those yellow bits in the bottom. Right. lot of this is just needs a dot.
Cool dab with you.
That's right. You took a lot of years. I'm gonna skip the clothing on this step. It took a lot of years for me to tone down those highlights, and I'm still working on it. I'm still working on this step dot.
You mean superb highlight?
Yeah, the super duper highlight.
It's definitely something that could get out of control really quickly if you let it.
It precisely, and then the whole thing is that way, and then it doesn't look anything like what you want it to look like.
Right.
There's more space there to do more right there. I'd like to thank you, Justin, for joining me again today. You're going to be
Oh,
a
yeah.
regular fixture around here. So we're going to get a specific day of the week where we'll get together and try to like
Hang out.
hang out and do some hobby, learn some
Yeah.
things. So that'll
Learn
be
all the
nice.
things.
And at the same time, we got other guests are going to be joining us too. People from the miniature community, other paint monkeys, right? Other peers, other mini grinders out there.
Good go.
A lot of good miniature painters out there. And I know I'm unorthodox, so I appreciate anybody who's following me for my unorthodoxy.
I don't think it's necessarily unorthodox. I mean, like I've said this a couple of times already today and yesterday. Like, you know, you're accomplishing the same things just through different methods. You're water controlling on your brush, on your palette, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean,
It's enough.
I've always been a big fan of the fact that you don't necessarily do all airbrushing. You know,
I do zero airbrushing.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've watched a lot of airbrushing tutorials because I've just been curious about it. And the thing that always comes back to me is that eventually they are forced to put down the airbrush and go in with the paintbrush
Right.
at a certain
Otherwise,
point.
it's going to look just airbrushed. There's no.
Right.
You know?
The airbrush cannot put a dot in it cannot dot like you're dotting right now.
That claim, but
I
nice
definitely don't
out
think
there.
it can. So all I'm saying is that I think eventually, you know, it always comes back down to the brush, you know?
All about the brush.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be a lot of fun right here. Oh, there's purple on that side. Keep it with the blues. Let's deepen some of that blue that I use, that denim blue, in some of the areas. I'm gonna reintroduce that because it's kind of been lost. I started to do that here a little bit.
You know, I was thinking that, but I was also thinking to myself, like, if you're not careful, you know, you're going to create a turf war between your shadow blues and your fiery yellows and oranges and greens and stuff, you know?
I'm just trying to pull that blue out again.
Right.
Now I'm trying to get this camera to focus. It's looking like a something.
Looking like fire.
Yep, very fiery. Very fiery. I wouldn't mind having this side have one too, a little bit right there.
Oh, yeah.
Just on the underside.
It makes sense because at least that side, you're either getting the front fire or the back fire, but this guy's surrounded by fire.
You want it to look good from this direction, so that contrast is going to be nice also right there.
Yeah.
Look good from this direction, so that contrast is nice. And right here, it's kind of like, that's actually kind of cool.
It's very cool.
It's kind of cool. It's kind of hot.
I think, you know, that's the other thing. When we look at your chromatic dwarf the other day and then this guy today, like, it's a real challenge to get the full 360 effect on the figure, you know?
Yeah, if you do, my thing is that if you are paying attention, if you're painting with a algorithm in mind, if you're following the same rules, it'll always work out. If you're
Right.
doing things the right way, it'll always work out.
Right.
And that's because it's got to agree, you know,
Right.
and it's hard to wrap your head around, but that really is the case. I think.
That's really cool.
And let's go ahead, get that Asmodeus red, and that's going to be our
Oh, yeah.
no. Yeah, that's that.
There you
Except for
go. There you go.
yeah, there's the full range. That's relatively acceptable for me. What I would like to do on the back here is it's almost, so I guess I'm not quite done yet. Use this yellow here, and I'm probably going to use a small brush. Yeah, we'll use this one. It'll be fun.
Uh, da, da,
I
da.
know it's a size 1, but it's got a nice tip, and it's cooperating. So the light's coming from far away this way, right?
Right. Yep.
So I'm just going to get the edges of these stones.
Right.
Are everything good still? Yeah.
Oh, it'd be fun to see how you do your stamps too, for the basting.
Oh yeah, we can do that. It's pretty simple. So I know that looks kind of junky, right? That's no big deal.
You just gotta keep pushing through.
Yeah. So we're just going to get that Asmodeus red. And now I'm just going to let the red and the yellow work together to make its own orange here.
Right.
And or maybe I'm just going to wipe everything away.
Is this like a red glaze you're doing right now, basically?
Glaze, yeah. I'm experimenting. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. I don't mind if a little bit of red tone gets thrown on that side. It looks like I'm going to have to go in and actually
Punch in the orange.
punch in the orange. Yep. After it dries a little bit. But that's okay. I don't mind the yellow being down there first because then the yellow is going to aid me in punching that in.
Yeah.
I'm just going to
You
use
just
a
gotta put the
clean dry
orange
brush
behind it, right?
to pick up that moisture now.
Yeah.
So I probably could have used a better red for that. But it's good to be consistent with what you chose also.
Yeah.
So I don't mind stepping outside those boundaries occasionally. But
Is this orange glaze or is this high concentration right
just
now?
straight orange.
Yeah.
With a moderately with a damp brush, it's always going to come out, you know,
And
in in kind of a light layer, a translucent layer.
right.
Nelly, please tell me you're not eating cat poop.
Nelly likes to cling to your side there, doesn't she?
What's that?
Nelly likes to cling to your side there, doesn't she?
Oh yeah, she's man's best friend. She likes food. She's waiting around for the next meal usually.
Sounds like her and I have a lot of similarities.
Yeah, that'll do. So I think I'm just gonna go back in with that midnight blue there and maybe just
Create the
fix
shadow.
fix some of the little bits up that I don't like.
Right.
Right? And then I'm gonna use that denim blue. Mm, Just being very gestural, not aiming at the rocks. And I find that the less time you take on them, the better they turn out. As long as you just do it the right way.
Right.
There is one that I want to do here. Oh, that's right. I still have to go back in with the black. Let's do that. Let's do that.
That shield looks really good. I
Hmm?
kind of keep staring. I keep staring at that shield. You did a really great job with
I
it.
kind of want to do another line up here.
What I'm kind of captivated by is that like you start off at the bottom corner and you make your way up to the top corner. You know, and to any of the corners, and you kind of like it creates kind of a color wheel, really.
Right. Yeah, a little bit. I'm gonna help myself over here. So
Oh yeah, that looks really good.
that's what I'll do.
I grind minis.
I grind the minis. Collect the coin, paint monkey.
Oh.
Yeah. It's looking like it's awesome. No. And then what was I doing with this? Oh yeah, not highlighting. I was getting pure blackout. That's what I was doing. Uh, I also don't mind using the nightshade purple as the black too. I
It is
think I
a
might actually.
very
It's
deep.
such a good black color. I think I'm gonna use it this time.
All right.
It's black enough for me.
Yeah.
All right. And I use the black primarily to divide,
Line.
one piece of thing from another.
You use it almost like a liner.
Oh yeah, definitely. So that's nice.
Yeah, like dropping it behind that shield just kind of makes it really pop.
Yeah, down here.
And you drop it behind the satchel, right? Yeah.
And then you need to do like a little one.
See, I
Maybe
get
go a little
trouble
bit
because
too
I
much.
would. I was about to say, I would be have somebody try to punch it into the folds of that cloak,
A
but I feel
little
like
bit.
I'd get in trouble.
A little bit. You got to be careful.
Yeah, yeah. I create the abyss basically.
Right. And I don't want to lose all that work that I just put in. Now right here is a nice deep fold.
Right.
That one. Too much right there. you go.
Good. Yeah, maybe underneath the pauldrons, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep on. No, Nelly. Just wait, just wait, Nelly. Just gonna go back out there and just lay on the porch. Yeah, definitely need these pauldrons. Oh, down and it's hard to see. Hold on now. We got our bell. She's up there. Ding, 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 ding.
He's got a bell.
Yeah,
Funny.
yeah. To let her out, you know.
That's really cool.
Well, we're training her. She's gotta be a good dog. She's
What kind of dog is she again? A lab?
black lab, you know.
Smart as hell.
Oh, she's super smart. And she's 4 months old, and she knows a lot of commands. She doesn't necessarily listen to them, but she knows what they are.
Yeah.
And she's a brat and spoiled. Wife takes her out for ice cream,
Oh man, I want ice cream.
right? I don't do too much ice cream these days, so it's fun. That's nice. Hold on, girl. Just it's just about upping that contrast factor,
Yeah.
you know, a little bit more.
I felt like it's made quite a nice improvement. That field really stands off his back now.
Oh yeah. It was worth it.
Yeah,
There we
that's
go.
nice.
Woohoo!
That's awesome.
We did it. We did something. We wasted a bunch of black. It's all on my palette right now. That's acceptable for me. I'm happy with the night in hell.
I mean, if I came out with that, I would be thrilled. I think I'd retire from painting. This is my magnum opus, you know.
You're so kind. That's what I love about having you on. You're very you're extremely supportive.
Hey, like I'm not gonna throw shade at something I can't do, you know.
What the hell are you on here for? That's what the peers are for, I guess.
Yeah, right. Hey, I told you about the gauntlet, okay?
You did. Oh, and I'm not even sure. Yeah. I forgot the super highlight on it. And you reminded me.
I know that one of our first OSL light lessons. We did a very simple, kind of dichromatic type of thing. Light and dark. Hot and cold. And one of the things we didn't really we kind of talked about, but we didn't practice was the use of a color concept of the fabric within the light itself. I think if you flip the night around, like I remember, like he has a fully realized color coordinated outfit. That also is subject to the light itself.
Yeah, and adds to like the whole composition.
Yeah.
Purple and
So
orange go together like they just go together. They're opposite on the color wheel. That's
right.
nice contrasting colors.
So
So
now,
you throw the
like
yellow, and
I
the
guess
yellow and purple do the same thing. Actually, it was
right.
orange and blue, but orange and purple is just as much fun. Especially with the yellow in there and everything. And that's why he's got blonde hair.
Right.
So really, the
Right.
blonde hair kind of dictated, hey, let's do purple for his
Right.
tabard or whatever the
I'd
heck it's
love
called.
I'd love to talk to you or see kind of you work on the OSL clothing effect too. As opposed to just at least the stuff that I've been working on has been mostly dichromatic. Hot and cold.
Right.
Very very comic book style type of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like what inspires me is that comic book style.
Yeah. I
Because
absolutely
this is how they color in comic books, basically.
right.
There's all kinds of non-metal metal, and not metal in comic books is mostly done through the inking process. But then whenever they started really getting into like the image comic books and stuff like that, their metals were
Yeah.
ridiculous because their color, their pages, the color on their pages were just so vibrant, also.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. Tomorrow I am going to do another stream. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do another stream at 2 o'clock.
Cool.
Tentatively with Paint Monkey Carl.
Ooh, Pearl.
Right? Yeah. Don't get jealous now. You're the number one paint.
Oh.
You're the number one paint monkey.
Okay. All right. I'll
Here's
take that.
this guy.
Oh damn. Oh damn. Oh, that's good.
That was a nice one. It looks much better now. I think honestly, you notice how the lighting is much better right now than it was last night. I think part of that, the reason is because of the daylight that's seeping in through the light over the window over there.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I never considered that.
it's yeah. So,
That's cool. That's cool shit right there.
and then also in the coming days, if you want to check out my Facebook page, I'll be throwing some updates with this little lady or thing. I'm gonna make this one the elf cleric. I think the colors are coming
Cool.
off very elfy, so I'm gonna go with elf cleric.
Yeah. Digging it.
And then this guy will be probably the human cleric.
Yeah, freaking big Bobo.
Right.
Gigantic.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us for the first official episode of MiniGrinder Paints Live. Like I said, I'll be back tomorrow at 2 o'clock with Paint Monkey Carl, and then next week with good painter, well-known painter, Chris Spots, the Spotted Painter. He'll be joining me next Tuesday. And I'm going to try to line up more guests, and then we're going to have Justin back next week, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some more people. So stay tuned, and thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye.